You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Okay, we're back. And guys, we've hit a small milestone today with the recording of episode 10 of Cards to the Moon. So right off the top, thanks so much to all of our listeners. It's great to know there's a growing number of collectors who are willing to nerd out on sports card talk with myself, Clark, and my co-hosts, of course, Hyung and John, every Tuesday. So to just segue off that, the National Sports Collectors Convention is now all said and done, and all signs indicate it was a very healthy showing with tens of thousands, if not more, in attendance over the multi-day event. And last week, we talked about how we anticipated a hobby resurgence as a result. And funny enough, Hyung, you saw a bump in sales for some of your high-end cards, right? Including, I think, a Louis Robert First Bowman Chrome Autograph Refractor.
That's right.
PSA 1010?
It was a PSA 10 dual auto, so 10 auto grade as well, yeah. And it was, the crazy thing, I listed it as a best offer, right? Okay. So, and then the buy it now was hit, so I was like, is this going to get paid for? I checked the, the buyer and, 100% feedback, so everything checked, so it was instantly paid for, and it was shipped out actually today. But yeah, that just confirms that, right before the Nationals, you couldn't sell any Luis Robert. I know the hype is kind of, in the right timing, but just slightly after that, I sold another big card. It was a Vladdy Blue Chrome, Topps Chrome Blue Refractor, and same thing. I put it on as a best offer, and a buy it now was hit, right? So it's interesting that it was kind of quiet before. You kind of seen the dip before the National, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing, because I never had those kind of sales before, so it was definitely a good week.
Damn. Nice. Now every time we see something good that happens, we just say it's a hobby resurgence because of the National.
Yeah, any excuse, right? But there's an interesting story, Clark, to that Luis Robert card that I sold. Because it was actually there was a journey to it, that Luis Robert, and basically it started off with a $99 mini Raz. So, and I built off that $99 mini Raz win. And for those that don't know what a Raz is, essentially, there's spots open. You're basically gambling for a card, a 10% chance, essentially, right? Because there's usually 10 spots, and you basically pick a spot and the winner gets it. And then if the mains don't fill, they fill it up with minis to kind of, fill half of the main up, right? So it was maybe a year and a half ago, there was a Zion Silver BGS 9.5. And this is when Prisms were kind of hot, right? And I was scrolling through one of the high rollers. There's a Bowman's Chrome high rollers group in Facebook, and I see there's one little mini spot left. And, every time I scroll back, and there's you talk about synchronicity. We were talking about synchronicity earlier. That one spot, number 10, just open, right? So it was a $99 mini spot, which I ended up winning the mini. So I actually won 2 spots to the main, because the finish was 2-2-1. Mm-hmm. And I ended up picking, I believe, 4 and 7, and I ended up winning the Zion Silver for $99. So the story with that, how it got to the Chrome, was I actually traded that for a LeBron Topps paper, BGS 9.5. At the time when I guess Chromes are really hot, and the next card to kind of go was LeBron's Topps paper card, right? So I ended up, his rookie card, in 03, and so I traded the Zion Silver for the LeBron, and then I've seen the Luis Robert, and this was in the off season, and prices were starting to dip, and I ended up trading the LeBron with maybe 2 Soto base 10s. I remember there was a Yelich Walmart blue that was $300 or something like that. and then $600 in PayPal, and I snagged that Luis Robert, and it ended up only costing me out of pocket probably like $1,500, but it was a good good example of why you do trades, for instance, right, where you could kind of get the value you want, and then kind of trade for it, and then in my case it worked out to my favor. So it was an interesting story how I actually obtained that card, because it was actually started with the $99 mini.
Yeah, that's good for you, man.
That's amazing.
Because I think you showed me, right, the Louis Robert card. You sold it for the bin offer was $6K, right?
It was $6K, yeah, and I that's an aggressive sale. I think, yeah. So, but I'm happy with it. Buyer paid, and he had questions with it as well. So I know he's a legit buyer. So
yeah, that's well done.
This is a pop 10 card, so it is a big time card at the end of the day, because if you do comps, at the end of the day, if you look at Tatis or Soto, for instance, their refractor PSA 10s, non-auto graded, are going for $15K plus, right? So I guess it's to scale of the potential of that particular card, because the refractor is kind of like very, very well desired, and with it being of one of baseball's largest prospect, and on top of that, it's there's only 10, right? So I'm just justifying it the other way, so that if the listener is listening, he feels good instead of us.
No, it's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah.
I'm entering a Raz tonight.
Go to the casino. Your odds are better.
That's funny. All right. Thanks for sharing that. So let's move on then for hobby headlines. Today's topic that we'll be discussing is the popularity of so-called error cards. And believe it or not, one of the more popular posts on 5cardguys.com is the one we have on error cards. And they range from misprints with the name of a player that doesn't match the picture, for instance, or to cards that are just badly miscut, which somehow gets past quality control and inserted into packs. So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the more popular error cards, and maybe some of the less popular error cards, and the stories behind them, right? So does anyone want to go first? Any error cards pop into your head right now?
Yeah, I'll go first, because I don't know too many error cards. All I remember is back in the day when we were collecting as kids. The two main that come off the top of my head is the Frank Thomas 90 tops rookie with the no name. I remember that was a big one that kids were kind of like, we were hearing about the error card. And then there's another one, I think it was 90 Donruss Juan Gonzalez rated rookie. I remember he had a bunch of error cards within the rated rookie. I know there's there's not just one error. There's a bunch of them, and some of them are way more, worth a lot more than the others. But I just remember as a kid, like those were the two that, on the playground.
Yeah,
rumor on the street was that there's errors of those two guys, and we'd be ripping open packs trying to get them. But, yeah.
I remember back in the day, speaking in the wax era, the 89 Dale Murphy reverse negative, that was a big time card. Because I would look at Beckett and I would be like, you'd see an astronomical price on Dale Murphy's error card, and you never seen it because the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing when I got back into the hobby. I kind of I needed to see that card. Yeah, and see how it looks. Super cool card. But Dale Murphy
just the reverse. Is it just the reverse picture?
No, it's the whole card is reversed.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. So even I believe the upper deck logo and stuff like that backwards as well. So it's completely backwards everything, right? So. Yeah, it's a pretty cool card. It's pretty rare. I don't know what the pop is, but another big time card, or not big time, but funny error card was there's a Star Wars card. It's the Anthony Daniels. I don't know if you guys know about this.
No.
Oh man, I don't know if what your rating is, but basically, if you're allowed to say this on, you just Google 1977 Star Wars Anthony Daniels error card. and people know about it. It's hilarious. It's friggin' hilarious. I'll let you know what, you guys Google it right now. I'll let you guys check it out. Yeah, so it's basically an interesting card, it's become popular in the hobby, and a lot of collectors basically like this card. It's the second. You could probably get it off the second link on that psacard.com.
Right. Oh, I see it. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
isn't that a card?
For our
That's
podcast
crazy.
listeners that can't visualize it right now, one of the titles of the card says 1977 Star Wars number 207 C-3PO obscene error card. So that gives you an idea what we're talking about. But yeah, Google it yourself.
Just Google
It's
it.
Hilarious.
Or search it on eBay and you'll see why we're laughing right now.
It's so funny.
And the only reason I knew about that card is because of Instagram. Somebody landed it and he was so happy, and then from there, I knew about that card. And sorry, one more card on top of that I really like in terms of an error card was the Mickey Mantle. His last card, he has in Topps, he has a white last name, instead of yellow. Do you know the Topps? That 69 Topps look, right? Where it's white first name, yellow last name, right?
Right.
And Mickey Mantle has an actual error card, and this was his last card, which was white first name and white last name as well, right? So I thought those were pretty cool as well.
Oh, I'm sure that one's crazy expensive.
Yeah, probably cost a few pennies.
Yeah, I mean, like some of these error cards, I think the ones that are rare essentially act as short prints, right? Like they're treated as short prints, which is where they get their value. But then some of the error cards are just funny and just, especially the ones printed during the junk wax era. You can still get those for $5.
What do you guys think about? I know, John, you sent this to one of our groups. It was that HGA, off-centered card, and then with the HGA custom slab, and do you think cards like that hold future value? I mean, it's not like. It's pretty original, but it was the card that kind of was famous now, and there's really only one out there, right? So do those cards have a chance to sustain value, right? At the end of the day, because how many of them were misprint like that, right? Or miscut like that? Right. So
for listeners, it was HGA, one of the newer companies. If you guys know that Prizm, famously now you get some pretty awful, horribly miscut cards, and this one I can't remember who it was, but it was actually on an angle, and an HGA made a custom label that was also angled, looking like it was misprint. So I thought I showed it to the Hyung and Clark, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I think there's definitely collectability. I don't know how valuable or if this becomes an investment, but yeah, I think in terms of that's what collecting is all about, right? Collecting. Some people really love collecting oddities and weird stuff, and there's definitely a place. I think there's definitely a place for it.
Yeah, I think you guys missed one of the more common, or you guys missed one.
I already know.
I think I know where you're going.
Funny error cards. Since his name's Billy Ripken.
Oh yeah, that's the
Baltimore
only thing he was known for. Unfortunately. And Cal's brother.
Yeah, Cal's brother for sure. But for those who aren't aware, is his error card has, I guess it passed, I don't know what the story is behind it. I don't know if you guys know. Do you? How it got past quality control. But the knob, go ahead, Hyung.
No, I don't know how it ended up, but I believe that it somehow sneaked there, and they caught it, and then they printed ones without it, right? From then on out, I believe that was the story. And then there's another variation. There was a couple variations of it. There was one that they just, I think, blacked it out, and then there's another variation of it as well. So they actually still fetch a premium for sure.
Yeah, that one does for sure. And just to be clear for the people, that the knob of his bat, the original ones that printed, has the F word and face on the on the bat that he probably wrote himself on his own bat. But yeah, like you said,
there's. The F face is actually the base card, right? And I know there's error cards on. I mean, obviously there's one where they removed, they black out the FF.
Right.
But I heard there's one that they white out the FF.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. There's a whiteout as well.
Those
Yeah.
are the variations.
Those are the
variations.
the variations,
Yeah.
and those ones are all like obviously a lot less printed than the actual like FAs.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think I remember watching like a YouTube video. I don't know if it was Billy Ripken himself, but they were talking about either he did it or one of his teammates did it right before the photo shoot. So either way, it was sort of like meant on purpose.
He was like, it was like during batting practice, and he just grabbed his bat and he didn't realize
right.
That
It was
I don't know
it
if
was that
his
particular
yeah,
bat.
because he's taking BP, and then they're like, "Hey Billy, take your picture for your card." He runs over and just grabs a bat, and then he's holding it, and it happened to just say "FAs," which is a great story, So, yeah, if you're a collector, definitely that's high on the list. That was a big one, and the Dale Murphy was a big one for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Mark Jackson with the Menendez brothers?
Oh, that's creepy.
That's another
Super
on
creepy.
the one hand,
I remember that. Yeah.
It's cool, but yeah, like it's very creepy and
it's super creepy, but yeah, I think that's a cool card too. Regardless, it's like, it's a pretty big event in history.
Yeah.
It's like sitting courtside and you're just like a lot of questions are up in there after seeing that card. You're just like, holy jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After noticing that, I wonder if Topps or Panini or any of the card manufacturers are less likely to show cards with audience members in the background.
Yeah, for real. I think it's hard to avoid though, in basketball especially, right?
Yeah, true. So I mentioned about that post on 5cardguys.com, and I list in that post some of the error cards that are listed for thousands of dollars, and I don't know how justified they are, but that's what they're listed for, and some of them are pretty cool if you look down that list, and I'll put a link to that post in our podcast notes. But one of them is a Chipper Jones 1990 classic draft picks,
right,
blank back. So if you turn it around, it's completely white. So that's obviously an error card, and I think the buyers or the seller is looking for $30,000 for that.
Wow.
I'm not sure anyone is gonna pay for that, but yeah. And then there's another one that's more recent, 2019 Wander Franco Topps Heritage name missing card, and I don't know if it's a one of one or that's what it's listed as, but I don't know if it's like one of those things where they're trying to play off that whole idea of error cards, so they purposely screw up and make it rare that way. I've seen some of that, like with the no names, especially the no name error cards.
Heritage is known to kind of like now like put error cards purposely like designated, like where it so if
little Easter eggs or something like that.
So hang on, this is a perfect example. I'll pull one out of my case here. This Eloy, there's a Eloy. This is an error card, and he's batting left-handed. So if you
I see.
But if you look at the back, look, it's designated as an error card under the number. You see that under 5?
Interesting.
It says error. So so Heritage actually releases purposely error designated cards, I think, to keep it like fun. So Tatis will have error in his Heritage.
Right,
and,
I saw that.
all
like the yellow line error or something like that.
Yeah, it's a yellow, exactly. Every error is different, right? So
Okay,
I
so you
guess
kind of
they
answered
keep
my
it,
question.
Yeah, I think they keep it in the fun, I guess, to keep it part of the hobby, because it's such a. When we were kids, we were looking at periods on batting average, or like if some word was misspelt in their bio, that's an error card that's worth like thousands. That was that was the.
You know what's so funny about that is like that post. I'm going back to that post, but it's one of the ones I get the most comments on, and I know it's guys our age that are saying like, "Hey man, I have this card. Is this an error card that's worth something?" And you know what? It's really hard to tell if it's worth anything or not, because some of these are rare, but there's no demand for it.
Yeah, no one knew about it.
So obscure.
Yeah, so it's like it's not worth anything still, but there's like a lot of the junk wax error cards are just bad quality control, and do you remember the Pro Set hockey cards?
Oh yeah, they were brutal.
That's not an error card, that's an error set. That's an error set.
I guarantee you, whoever's editing Pro Set in 1990 needs to be fired. Like, they missed They missed the Come on, clean it
Misspelled
up.
names.
Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah,
I was
Wrong pictures.
Yeah, that's funny.
I remember that set.
Pro set. Oh man.
I think that's the fun of error cards, like legit error cards, especially during that era when they were just printing anything and everything because it was just making mad cash, right? And,
Yeah.
and of course you're gonna miss a lot of things.
Rushing products to the market to make money.
100%. But I think that's the fun of it now, looking back on it, like just talking about those error cards and just reflecting on them. But there's one interesting story I want to share with you guys, and you might have already heard it, but it's a guy named Jose Uribe. I think he was San Francisco Giants shortstop. Very average player, nothing special. But if you look at some of the past sales of Uribe 1990 Fleer error card, I think one sold for like 5 or maybe even 6 figures, right? And it's a common card. Like if you do your research, it's not like rare by any means. And if you do even more research, you find out that the error card is actually because his birth year says it's 1960 when he was actually born in 1959.
That is brutal.
Right?
That is brutal.
So and then like people would say like, oh, but like it's not uncommon or it's not super rare where players from the Latin countries would lie about their age just to make them look like a better prospect than they are.
Right.
But it still doesn't justify some of those past sales where
Absolutely not.
People have paid 5 figures. So the story behind that is, or one of the theories actually behind that is that this card was used for money laundering purposes.
Oh.
For example, like you could buy the card for cheap because it was such a common card, and you list it on eBay for thousands of dollars, and essentially you would use dirty money to pay yourself for that card under a separate eBay account.
Wow.
So I don't know who would do that or if that is actually true.
That's
but the rumor is out there.
That's some dirty business.
and
that's one heck of an error card.
That's actually genius, man. Holy.
And then I think it got flagged because they're like, wait a minute, this Jose Uribe error card costs more than a Mickey Mantle rookie. Like
it
at
doesn't
that
make
time.
any sense.
Yeah.
So there was some flags raised, but now it's like it's kind of a legend now, right? Like no one actually knows if it's true or not.
Right.
So like people are willing to buy this Jose Uribe quote unquote error card just because they almost want the rumor to be true, and they're like, oh, I got a piece of this,
Yeah,
that's
this card.
incredible. Oh man, Jose Uribe, RBI baseball. That's the only reason I know Jose
RBI
Uribe.
baseball.
Video game,
Oh, that's classic. What do you guys think of like these? Hyung was saying the error cards they do it for fun, but the one thing that I brought up amongst our chat group was like the David Ayers Young Guns PSA 10. So for those that don't know, David Ayers was a Zamboni driver at Air Canada Center, or what's a Scotiabank Arena now, and for the Leafs. And obviously a bunch of goalies got injured, and they called him in. Actually, Carolina Hurricanes called him in against the Leafs, and he beat the Leafs, which is horrible for us. Completely embarrassing, but it's legendary. And for fun, Upper Deck Update, I think it was like SB Update, made a Young Guns of David Ayers, which I thought was awesome and pretty cool. But what do you guys think of like these companies, like exactly what Hyung said? They're doing these like fun things for the hobby. Man, I thought that was really, really cool.
Oh, I love it. I personally love it. That's what needs to happen. I truly believe now that I heard that story. I knew about that story. I think it's an incredible story, and you told me that story too. And now that you tell it again, it's like I'm interested in buying that card.
Yeah, right. I know,
because it's such a cool story. Like, it's like that's hilarious.
Sorry to interrupt, but the guy had 2 PSA 10s listed, and they sold like that. Like it went.
That's crazy. What did they go for?
I think they were listed for like 125 US.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too bad, huh? I see Ken Golden had his card too. Has a card too.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah. It like sold for a couple $100. So maybe we'll see a Clark Kim card one day.
I hope so, by Allen and Ginter. They're actually known for those oddity type.
Yeah,
cards, or
that's right.
I could see that happening.
You know what? That'll be my dream. Topps Allen and Ginter autograph card of Clark Kim.
That's when you know you've made it.
I'm in.
Allen Ginter has one of the dude from Hot Ones, like the Hot Wing show.
I know, Sean Evans. Yeah.
Sean Evans. That's right. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was actually looking to buy one, but maybe I will.
Maybe I will still.
Well, I told you guys off air, but like that's my like PC. Like I collect a lot of Allen Ginter autograph cards of non-sports guys.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's cool.
Right.
So like I have one of Paul Rudd, just a
that's
That's
cool.
pretty
Paul
cool.
Rudd.
Nice.
Gary Vaynerchuk and
Gary V,
an
nice.
autograph card. Yep, and Anthony Bourdain was a huge fan of his.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's just fun. Like, so to your point, like those fun cards are like the ones that are not exactly sports related or your traditional rookie cards or anything like that. Yeah.
But I will say something. If I have a hobby box and I pull some random card as my hit, I'd be pretty upset. I'm just saying. Just putting a disclaimer there. I don't want to be
100%.
pulling Paul Rudd out of a hobby box though. Like. But yeah, definitely.
I'd be happy,
cool.
but yeah, I can see how others wouldn't be. Or Chester, the football, the hot dog championship eating guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's funny.
All right, yeah, like I'm sure there's a lot more error cards that we haven't even scratched the surface on, but I thought it would be fun just to let people know that they exist, and yes, for some people it's a part of their PC, right? Like, it's just fun to collect, and some of them could be valuable, but probably most of them aren't. just to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right. It was a fun chat. So let's go on to our next segment, which is a new segment called On a Budget. And this is an idea actually Johnny came up with, and what we're trying to help our listeners with is that if you had a budget of $100, $500, and $1,000, what card right now would you buy to invest in? Because we know not all collectors can afford 4 or 5 figure cards, and we wanted to make sure that there's some value for people who are just getting into the hobby as well, or looking to just start small and kind of building up. So I thought it was a good idea. I know Hyung, you thought it was a good idea too. So yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys came up with for your 3 cards at those 3 tiers: $100, $500, and $1,000.
I'll go first with the $100 card. I actually am gonna go with a Topps Chrome 2020 Topps Chrome Luis Robert PSA 10.
Nice.
I think they're closing in still at $75. And with him coming back, Chicago being Chicago, I think it's a perfect marriage for, like, $75 is way too cheap for a Chrome in, one of the top prospects in baseball, right? Obviously he still has to perform, but at $75, I think there's tremendous room to grow still. So I think for $100, Topps Chrome Luis Robert PSA 10 is mine.
Good choice. I'm surprised
Nice.
it's under $100.
Yeah, $75 I think was the last couple sales.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nice pick, man. That's the guy who I chose last week for or was that a couple of weeks ago?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Cards to go up. Good choice. I'm gonna go with so we're gonna give some Canadian boys some love, but Nikhil Alexander Walker Optic Hollow. So as you guys know, Hyung knows, like
$100,
my buddy and I are pretty big on Nikhil. That card goes. You could probably get it for around $100 right now. It was
cheap.
At once it was around $60 to $80, really cheap. Lonzo Ball just got traded, and I know originally when there were some murmurs about point guards getting traded out of New Orleans when Drew Holiday was there, there's a big log jam. Like Lonzo was there, right. And of the 3, you would imagine Nikhil will probably get traded, the young guy who gets no minutes. But then I heard that the brass in New Orleans actually really likes Nikhil, and the rumors were more surrounded around Drew, who did get traded, and it was around Lonzo, who ultimately left, right? So,
right.
I think it's his opportunity now. He's. I mean, if you don't know, like, for those that really don't know, like, if you're in the NBA, but he's family members, he's cousins to Shai Gilgeous, And this guy can score, man. He's a legitimate scoring threat at either the point guard. I think they use him as a shooting guard, but he can play either the point or the shooting guard. Big time player, man. And I think, any of these picks that I do and any card that I pick or I try to invest in, I try and think of cards that will 3x. I don't like to pick cards that I think will just 2x, because when you 2x your card and by the time you sell it and you pay off fees and shipping fees and all that stuff, you don't really make that much money. So I'm always trying to think of cards that can potentially 3x in value or more. And I really believe Nickeil Alexander this year is going to have that opportunity for his cards to go up. So that's one for me.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah, his Prizm Silver, by the way, is like 130. So it's right in that ballpark too. I only picked Optic Holo to stick like right to the $100 mark, but yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah, for me, I agree with what you said. Like I like to go for guys that can give a pretty solid return, but at the same time, for $100, what I like to do is like to gamble a little bit. So last week I talked about how don't spend all your money on baseball prospects, but occasionally I will look at some baseball prospects that have the pedigree or that has been talked about by journalists, baseball sports writers, and I'll take a gamble. So, it worked out for me in the past with Andrew Benintendi, and I flipped him within a couple of years and 3x that. And I told you guys last week, Dansby Swanson, same thing, if you get him early enough. But another guy that's on my radar is Kyle Tucker of the Houston Astros. And I don't know, if you look at the stats, he's quietly having a good season. 20 homers, 9 stolen bases, batting .274 right now for the Astros, a contending team.
Right.
And I love guys that could hit home runs and steal bases. Like that's why I bought Mookie Betts years ago, because he did the exact same thing. And if you look at his first Bowman Chrome autograph card, it's raw, but it's going for $99.99 right now. And if he pops off, and I think the reason why it might be that low right now is because he's kind of flying under the radar. But with guys like that, if he continues to have a solid season and people start to realize that, and then then you start seeing a bump in his value, then you just kind of, whenever you can start grading cards with PSA again or BGS even, then that might be a time where it's worth it to grade it and then hold it and then kind of see your returns that way. But for under $100, I love spending on baseball prospects that can, it's fun for me to root for those guys because now I have a stake in them, So for me, Kyle Tucker, his first Bowman Chrome autograph rookie card.
That's so cheap, $100. That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's move on then to $500. Yeah, you want to lead off?
$500. I'm going to Luka. I'm going with his Optic PSA 10 because there was a flippity flop with his Select. His Select is hot again. I remember me and Johnny were talking about, I think it went as low as like 400. What did you say? 350, 400 at one point?
315
yeah,
was the
Select.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was in June. And then
Crazy.
the Luka hype, obviously, with the Olympics is real. I still personally think, based on the population report of Optic and how hard that card is to gem, $500. It's sitting at $500 currently. I think it's still a steal, to be honest. And I'm looking at a long-term hold with Luka because we all know we've seen Luka's prices before, and even his base cards get unaffordable sometimes. And we're all scared, when that Prizm hit 2,000. It's like, is that sustainable, right? And for it to go that high, we couldn't buy Luka anymore. Right? Like none of us could buy Luka because he was unaffordable. And I feel like as he continues to play, this is the dip, right? We're asking for the dip, and Optic at 500 is in my opinion pretty cheap based on kind of like the pop report and kind of like the overall demand for that card in the future. So it's sitting at $500 right now, and I'm looking at more of a long-term hold rather than a quick flip. Just because it's as you get these cards, a lot of people want Luka, and if there's only, let's just say 5,000 of those, Optic base cards, right? Soon, a lot of them are just gonna start getting stored away, right? So, I like the longevity of that for $500.
Good choice.
Nice pick. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Luka. All right, so I'm gonna switch gears to hockey at $500, and I'm going with Jack Eichel Young Guns PSA 10. Right now it goes for around 400, maybe a hair under it. Jack Eichel is, in my opinion, he is a top 10 NHL talent. In terms of card value, he easily should be at the same mark of some of the bigger studs in the game, like Austin Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, David Pasternak. Like, he is in that ballpark of talent, and he's shown it already. He just had, like a rough injury riddled season with Buffalo, and I think that I don't know, like a bunch of weird things happened. It was kind of like a Kawhi situation where I think he was injured, but he was kind of sitting off on purpose. I really don't know what's going on, but he's most definitely going to get traded. Rumors are he might go to like the Rangers, which would be huge, like the first time them having like a bona fide number one center. There are some injury worries, like, so the funny thing about his card is, with all the rumors about the Rangers, you would imagine the card will start to shoot up. But there's also word about him having some major neck surgery. He has to have like a herniated disc within the neck, replaced or something like that. And there's a lot of concerns around that. But I did some research, and apparently the procedure is fairly easy, and the recovery time is like sometimes even less than 7 days. So I don't even think that's a big deal. I don't even think the Rangers, in probably discussion with Buffalo, think that's that big of a deal. So I'm gonna almost assume, Jack Eichel is not going to be playing for the Sabres this coming season, and he's going to be playing for somebody else. And he is a top 10 talent that you can get for well under $500. And that is a card I could easily see being like worth $1,000 to $1,200 as early as the next 8 to 12 months. So I'm going with Jack Eichel Young Guns PSA 10.
Okay, that's high praise for Jack Eichel. I'm not sure I'm there with you, but he's definitely has talent for sure.
Yep, he's a stud, man.
Nice. Okay, for my $500 pick, I can't quit this guy. It's Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, Panini Select Concourse, Red Prism, which is numbered to 199, PSA 10. You can get it for $365 right now, and sold. I think it's like, I love cards like that where it matches the team color. Of course, I love it that it's numbered. Of course, I love it that it's PSA 10. And of course, the value of Tyler Hero took a major hit, right? After a mediocre season, or a season where he just didn't live to the hype of his rookie year, right? And I think it's a great time to invest in those type of cards at that $500 level, like a sub 400 right now, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely a good pick.
So yeah, and for me, it's like I'm looking for those cards at that price point. A numbered card, if possible, of cards that are just devalued right now for whatever reason. But you still believe in that player. Those cards are amazing value in my opinion. So Tyler Hero, Panini Select, Concourse, number to 199, Red Prism.
Nice pick.
All right, so let's go up the budget to $1,000. What do you say, Hyung?
All right, so you're gonna like this one, Clark. You're gonna like this one.
Come on, say it.
I'm going with the Trae Young.
Yes.
Select.
You guys are
courtside
killing me with Trae Young.
PSA 10.
Sorry, which one?
Select courtside PSA 10. I think sub 1,000.
Wow.
For a Trae courtside PSA 10 is a great deal. Luka is in a dip, and his that 5K just to kind of give you an idea of courtside, so you could kind of see who's overvalued or undervalued depending on your lens. But I think it's a great buy under $1,000 right now, which it currently is. So yeah, Trae courtside PSA 10, select courtside PSA 10.
Sweet pick.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. I can't hate on that. That's a good pick. All right, I'm gonna have to go with my man Kobe Bryant. His cards are on a dip, and when you're talking about the market rebounding, obviously there's lead indicators, and within the vintage, sort of like a modern / vintage era, it's obviously going to be MJ, Kobe, and LeBron that move the needle. So if you ever really wanted to get into a PSA 10 Kobe rookie card, I'm actually going to take two of them. because either or is an amazing option, but it's the 1996 Stadium Club or the 1996 Skybox Z-Force.
Nice.
Depending on which
Sweet
picture
card.
you like. Some people, I like the Z-Force, that pop of color.
Yeah.
But those are going right around the $1,000 mark. Kobe documentary, we don't know when it's going to air, but at some point it's going to come around. And if you load up on these Kobe rookies, I think they can really go to the moon. So I'm going with Kobe Bryant at $1,000, either the Stadium Club or the Skybox Z-Force.
Yeah, that's a good choice for sure. I like it. All right, for me, to round off this segment, for $1,000, I like to go for guys that are more superstars or have that potential. But obviously for $1,000, a superstar player on a premium card you probably won't be able to get. So I'm looking at superstar players for like those lesser sets, I guess.
Right.
So for example, I'll just get right into it. It's Ronald Acuna's Bowman's Best rookie autograph card, BGS 9.5, is going for $900 or best offer, right? So
Yeah.
So Ronald Acuna, I know we all love. He's already shown what he can do. He's injured now, but maybe that's why his value took a bit of a dip. But we know he's going to come back strong. And an autograph card, BGS 9.5, 10 auto.
Yeah.
Even if it's a Bowman's Best, I think Hyung, you made a point in a previous episode. All those Mike Trout rookie cards that's not Topps updates still have considerable value because he's Mike Trout, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and it's an auto,
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly,
like, take
100%.
it now. Yeah.
So I see Ronald Acuna in the same way.
Nice.
And I had a second pick too. I couldn't decide, so I'll just choose this as well. The LeBron James Topps Pristine BGS 9 right now. I actually got a PSA 9 for $900, which I think was a steal.
That was a
But,
great deal. Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron James. There's one out right now that's a Topps Pristine BGS 9. I think that's going for $9.99 right now or best offer. But it's numbered to it's a numbered card again of a GOAT player, and it's his rookie. So I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like it's a matter of time
Yeah.
that it's just gonna keep going up. It's a long term hold for sure, right?
Hang on, I'll be back.
Shoot, I think I have on my watch list too.
I don't
Hold on,
think it'll
let's pause
last.
this show. Let's pause this show.
I don't think it'll last.
Gonna make an offer right now.
Okay,
Yes.
hang on. This is just to confirm that on a side note, somebody just bought another Luis Robert, the Topps Chrome Refractor Auto. So so which is crazy because there was no comps for that, and I think it was a healthy sale. It was a true gem for $625.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a hobby box pull too, right? So that was I just clicked it and then it just happened, so I just brought that up. But
You know what it is? It's hobby resurgence. We should have a drop for that too.
I'm telling you,
It's the
national hype
resurgence.
is real. The national hype is real. I've also received multiple offers on multiple cards today as well, and multiple offers on Tiger Woods, which is interesting because Tiger Woods went really quiet, and all of a sudden, two different cards I received two different offers. So
Interesting. You know what? It's just for people that are looking to sell. Yeah, it's a good time to list, I guess, right now. Just take
I
advantage
think it
of
is. Yeah, I think it is.
Seriously.
Nice. All right, I think that wraps up our segment. Actually, yeah, I thought that was fun. I think we should do it again. It'll
That's
give,
nice.
it'll give some of our listeners cards that they could look into if they're looking to buy or just don't know what to buy, and hopefully we can help them out in that area.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right, so we'll close off this podcast episode with one of our favorite segments, and it's called Pick One. And again, for those who are listening for the first time, this is where we each choose a pair of athletes or sports cards, and we debate on who we would rather invest in. Okay, so who wants to go first?
I'll go first. My pick one for this week, and we're going particular specific cards here. We're going with the 2000 Topps Chrome Miguel Cabrera PSA 10 versus the 2001 Topps Chrome Albert Pujols PSA 10. So you got about Pujols is probably, I'd say maybe 30%, 25%, 30% more than Miggy currently. So yeah, I mean they're both potential GOAT type players. I guess Pujols is a little ahead than Miggy, I would say, but that's debatable. But I would say Pujols gets the edge. But what do you guys think?
How much those cards go for?
Topps Chrome Miggy goes probably for 1,200, and Topps Chrome Pujols goes for 1,800. Okay. I'd say. So it's kind of even, but I mean,
damn.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna go with Pujols, and I think both are gonna end up as legends. Their stats are gonna speak for themselves. Miggy is a monster, but I think Pujols has reached a wider fan base. I think, in my opinion, he seems like the more likable, athlete. I think a lot of people are a fan of Pujols, and I don't know. I for that reason, I think just his likability, and the careers being so even, I'm gonna make that the X factor to pick Pujols over Miggy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do understand that it's a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I'm going with Pujols.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the era where Miggy won the Triple Crown.
Yeah, that was big. Yeah,
number one pick in fantasy baseball year after year, right? So if you ask me then, it's Miguel. I love Miguel Cabrera. He could hit anything, but now that you ask now, with both their careers kind of winding down, and both of them definitely more a shell of their former glory selves, and playing a role. Like I guess Miguel still plays a big part of the Tigers, but like Pujols plays with the stacked Dodgers team now.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a role player now. But I'm leaning towards Albert Pujols as well, just because the things you hear about both of them it's pretty quiet now, right? Like, until they retire, until like
Hall of Fame ballots, or
100%, exactly. And at that point, I think Pujols has the edge, just because of what he's done, and as well as he just seems to be out there a lot more, like Johnny said. I agree with that point as well. So Pujols is my choice.
So I guess that was a little too easy. Although, you know what? I'm a big Miggy fan. I am a big Miggy fan. I just
love Miggy,
he put up Pujols' numbers in his first, 7-8 seasons were so ridiculous. He was the best hitter in baseball, or right-handed hitter at least in baseball at the time, and you could say that it was during the steroid era. But the thing I'm looking at is look at his walks to strikeout ratio, and to me, it's like he was a true hitter, and when he was at his prime, he was unstoppable, and to me, he's gonna be a no doubt Hall of Famer, and it's just a matter of time. And I love that the Dodgers still picked him up, because I didn't like how it ended with the Angels, to be honest. And I know he was a plug out there sometimes on the base paths too, but you got to pay your respects to the guy as well. But I will say, you know what? The Angels probably got the crappier end of the stick in the long run out of the whole deal. I think St. Louis got hit their money's worth really well.
For sure.
It's I mean, you look at like people like Mickey Mantle's career stats, and you see the taper off of the final years of Mickey Mantle's career. He hit 240 with like 16 bombs or whatever in 1968 or whatever it was. It's the same thing. It's like we're seeing it's just normal. He's not going to go out with a bang. He's not going to hit 40 in his last year, and I think it's soon coming to an end where he's going to find that his prices are going to just go astronomically, because that Topps Chrome set with Ichiro is a huge set, right? So
that's true.
Yeah. I'm at that price. It's apples to apples, 1,200, 1,700. In the bigger picture, it's the same thing. So for me, I'm gonna go Pujols. So with the easy sweep.
Right.
All right.
I mean, you could make the argument like Miggy is probably one of the more underrated future legends, right? It's kind of where
for sure.
I kind of compare him to like Dwayne Wade. Like they're both likable, they got their stats, they got all the jazz, but for some reason they're kind of underrated when you talk about legends of the game. Like nobody considers Wade like in the top 20 all time. I think he should be in there, but that kind of goes with the idea of like people being underrated. So I don't know. Like is you could even say that maybe the card is a bit undervalued versus the Pujols, right?
Right. No, that would be the other argument that I was hoping one of y'all kind of took on, but
I know. Wish I thought of that sooner.
All right. That one?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go 2012, and we're talking all of these are PSA 10s. 2012 Prizm Anthony Davis versus 2015 Prizm Devin Booker. Both are selling for around the $900 mark. Yeah, both great sets, both low population. Yeah. What do you guys got?
Go ahead, Clark.
I'm gonna go with Devin Booker, actually. Like, I think Devin Booker's the man in Phoenix, and I do give a slight hit to Anthony Davis for going to play with LeBron, and now Russell Westbrook coming in, taking some minutes. He's still a stud, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I think Devin Booker showed that he could really step up, and people expect Devin Booker to carry the team. I don't know if people expect Anthony Davis to carry the Lakers as they expected him to carry the Pelicans. Do you know what I mean? So, Devin Booker's a younger guy. I think he's going to have a great, amazing career. And Phoenix Suns were so close to winning the championship, and I think he'll have another opportunity to do that as well. But he'll be I think he'll still be the guy where if the Phoenix Suns ever wins the championship, I think it's Booker's going to be the MVP. Whereas, who knows who the MVP will be for the Lakers? It could be any one of those studs. So Devin Booker for me.
Good choice.
All right, I'm gonna go the opposite direction and go Anthony Davis because the 2012 Prizm set. Right. For me, it's like, you look back at the cards, like even some of the cards is just tough to get just because we're out of time where Booker is a little more modern. And, I'm usually a gambling man, so usually I'm, more on the side of leaning towards Booker. But in this case, I'm going Anthony Davis just because, he's, 2012 Prizm won, and, he's still an 8-time All-Star. And I believe there's a lot more. He's only 27 years old. And, he puts up another 7-8 seasons, which I believe his body could potentially put up. I think he's gonna be kind of like a very good option, like moving forward as well. But you can't go wrong with both Booker or Davis. But I'm gonna go Davis just because of 2012.
Nice. So I have that 2015 Booker Prizm. I probably mentioned in one of our earliest episodes. That's a personal PC card for me. I would love to own it one day, and I'm still targeting it as a card that I would love to pick up. But with that being said, I'm going to go Anthony Davis. This was actually my original pick to the $1,000 segment that we had, but I just didn't want to double dip on the same player. I just think it's, when you talk about investment cards, and investments in general, there's always a ceiling to anything. And what is it in, when we're talking about veterans or superstars, what is it that moves the needle or breaks that ceiling? Normally it's a championship. And when you look at the two players and the odds of that player, for in Davis's case, winning his second championship versus Booker winning his first, apples to apples, everyone's health being good, you can say Anthony Davis, the Lakers are probably the favorites if everything's healthy. So if you're just going based on chances and percentages, I think, both are great picks, but Anthony Davis, again, Hyung said 2012 Prizm, iconic set, and just the chance that he can break that ceiling and just to further increase the value and reach new heights. I think Anthony Davis has the better chance of the two players, and under $1,000 for a arguably top 5 player in the NBA, like his main rookie card in an iconic set. Oh man, I think it's a big time buy. So I pick Anthony Davis.
Can I change my mind? No, I'm gonna stick Booker. You guys are wrong. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah, those are good pick ones. Mine, I'm gonna go a little bit alternative, and put up Lewis Hamilton, his 2020 Topps Chrome, the #1 F1 racer, versus Conor McGregor, 2021 Panini Prizm, which just came out. So yeah, a little bit different from our traditional sports, but Lewis Hamilton versus Conor McGregor.
I will say that Conor McGregor card is iconic. I feel like it's going to be an iconic card for some reason, but it's Conor McGregor. So
right.
I'm not a fan of Conor McGregor, to be honest, but I am a fan of AMG and Mercedes. So it's such an easy such an easy decision for me because, yeah, because of those reasons. I'm Lewis Hamilton all the way. Yeah, 100%, not even close. But I do like that Conor McGregor card. For some reason I do like it.
Okay, that's an easy one for him.
What do those cards go for, by the way?
I don't think they go for much.
Like 1,000 maybe for Lewis Hamilton.
But
the colors of McGregor go for quite a bit, but the base I don't think goes for much.
Yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton's the same comp. Like his color or his refractors go for a lot, but his base is affordable, relatively speaking.
This is an easy one. I think it's an easy one for me. I'm not a big. I'm definitely a casual when it comes to either UFC or F1. I don't know too much, but I would think of the two sports, Lewis Hamilton is certainly in a GOAT conversation. I don't know exactly where Conor McGregor stands. He obviously was on that course, but
he was.
I don't know enough to say that he is or he isn't. But Lewis Hamilton, I think it's pretty clear that he is going to go down as one of the all-time greats, if not already. So for me, I just that alone, I think it's an easy pick, Lewis Hamilton.
Okay. Man, I thought it would be harder. But
you're going to go Conor McGregor.
I think it's a clean sweep.
I'm going to go Conor McGregor.
All right.
I think... No, I agree with all your points, though. Like, Lewis Hamilton is definitely in the GOAT conversation. And I think even off the track, he's really relevant. So I love Lewis Hamilton as a play. I think it's one of those pick ones where both are the right answer. But if I'm choosing one, I'm choosing Conor McGregor because I think UFC, the sport, is going to be far bigger than F1 around the world. And I think Conor McGregor is going to be seen as one of those pioneers that really elevated the sport. So for that reason, I'm going with McGregor. And I'm not big into UFC. I don't watch many UFC fights, and I'm not big into F1 either. But I know enough of them. But I know more of Conor McGregor just as a casual sports fan that just looks at the highlights of every sport. Do you know what I mean? And I think, I don't know. Yeah, McGregor, like with all his injuries and probably fading, but I don't know, just his personality is larger than life too. So I think he'll stay relevant any way he can. Yeah. So McGregor for me. And I love the look of that card too. I love the Panini Prizm, like what they did with the UFC set. It looks amazing.
It looks amazing. Yeah. I think they did a phenomenal job with that for sure. Yeah. From a collector standpoint, I definitely agree, 100%. It's just,
I feel like just to be a devil's advocate here, I feel like I disagree with your statement about UFC being the bigger. I feel like UFC had its time, like it was huge. I just don't know how big it is. Like obviously there's a hardcore fans and people who have been following UFC, but there's obviously guys like me, the casuals. Like we followed when it was hot. We followed when George St. Pierre and like all the big boys were in the sport. But I feel like for the casuals, it's starting to dwindle. And F1, I think like a lot of people are talking about F1. Like it's got the big Netflix series that's super popular. Yeah, like everyone's talking about it. I have a bunch of friends who have never talked about F1 talking about F1 and Verstappen and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like F1 is really kind of coming into the mainstream for the first time and not being just a sort of a niche sport. So I don't know, man. Like, I feel like F1 could surprise. I think F1 maybe like worldwide. I mean, it's already worldwide, but it can start to seep into casuals like me and have traction for us. Like, I've already watched like a bunch of the seasons, and I was hooked, man. It's really interesting. So.
Okay, I to counter that counter, I'm gonna say two words: Joe Rogan. Okay, as a UFC ambassador, essentially, and he has the #1 podcast. Like, the UFC will be in people's minds for a while, I think.
Ooh,
as long as Joe Rogan keeps talking about UFC.
Is he the #1 podcast? Really?
I think
he's up there. Yeah.
I think you could put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on a hobby box, and if you have like a big hit, people will still rip it, and Teenage Mutant Ninja 100%. Turtles will become the next biggest
Topps
thing.
Chrome.
I'm telling
Topps
you,
Chrome
it's
for
all
sure.
about people are addicted to the rip. They could care less, they could care less about
Michelangelo Superfractor 1 of 1.
Yeah, it goes for $1 million. It's Michelangelo. It's like it's a huge hit. You know how hard this is to pull. The pack odds.
Oh man, I would rip that right now. I'd buy that right now.
You get a
awesome.
relic patch of one of their weapons, like their nunchucks or
from the movie.
Yeah.
That's so true, though.
It was a fun episode, guys, and that actually wraps our show for today. Again, thank you so much to all our listeners coming along with us for the ride that is our little podcast. We appreciate you guys subscribing to Cards to the Moon if you haven't done so already, and giving us 5 stars if you like the show. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next week for episode 11. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.